I'm starting from them. Okay, it's showing on the screen now. I'm starting from the questions. So the questions are not in any particular order. I just copied them the way they were deposited on the Google form. So the first one is it important to have a specific niche while starting out in medical writing, or just stick to addressing general matters? Is it important to have a specific niche? Medical writing is like an octopus with so many heads. There are so many parts to it, and when starting out, it may be difficult to know where exactly to pitch your tent. Like in medical writing, you have the patient education niche. That's the one most of us are familiar with. Like if you have, assuming you have a problem like headache, and you type it online, so many websites will appear. You see WebMD, Healthline, Medline, NHS, Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic. All those are patient education websites. So that appears to be the most popular that most people know about. I also want to point out that medical writing is almost the same thing like health writing. You know, some of us may be more familiar with the term health writing. That are basically the same, although there are subtle differences. So that's the patient education niche, which appears to be the simplest of it all. Then you have the CME, that's continuing medical education niche. And this one is in what the basic thing about CME, that you develop programs or materials that helps in educating health professionals and updating their knowledge. Like in some countries, it's mandatory to get CME points before you can renew your license every year, like US and the UK. So it's a large market there. But then it's more technical than patient education, because you are writing to health professionals. It needs more research, and sometimes it's usually more detailed than what you have in patient education. Then you have regulatory writing. This one deals with pharmaceutical industries, especially as it regards drug development. We know that before we have drugs in the market, they go through phases. You have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4 trials, clinical trials. So regulatory writing deals with documenting those trials and writing to the regulatory body like FDA for approval. So for you to enter into that field, you should be good at randomized control trial. So I'm just trying to point out the subtle differences in all of them, so that we'll be better informed. So the niche you enter will depend on your level of expertise. If you're not good at randomized control trials, you won't be able to function in the regulatory niche. If you're not so good at doing in-depth research, you may not be good at CME. If you find it difficult to communicate in plain language, you may not be good at the patient education niche. So personally for me, I prefer to try all of them before I can now decide, okay, this is the one I will finally pitch my tent. And basically because somehow I can fit into all of them because of the works I've done before now. I've done research. Part of the research I did during my residency program, I did randomized control trials. So that means I can work in regulatory. I've written a lot of scientific publications even before I enter medical writing. So I don't think CME will be a problem. Then I've spent most of my career life educating patients. As a gynecologist, I see patients, I communicate with them in plain language. So it's just a matter of converting my communication into writing. So the niche depends on what you think you can offer. It also depends on the kind of life you want to live. Some of them are more well-paying than others, like CME and regulatory. You get patient education. So these are the things regulatory done. All those smaller ones, marketing, medical marketing, and all those ones. So it depends on your type of person and what you want to achieve and your level of expertise and the essence you want to learn. Let me put it like that. You may not know something now, but you know that you can learn it. Then you can go ahead. If you don't know how to do research now, and you are determined to learn it, you can sit and go into CME. It depends on you. Then the second question, someone asks what's the relationship between atherosclerosis and high BP. I think this question is off track because we are not in a clinical class, we are not in a cardiology class, so I prefer to jump to skip this. Then number 2, it says, should I focus on a specific niche within medical writing, such as patient education? It's almost like the first one, regulatory writing or health journalism. That's the first question. The second one is, what types of writing projects are in demand in the healthcare industry? So for the first one, I've already answered. You can either focus or you diversify. Some people advise that you focus so that people will know that this is what you stand for. That it may be easier. But if you are starting off, you may decide to try out everything and not know the one that works for you. Then what types of writing projects are in demand? All types of writing projects are in demand. It depends on who you are speaking with, you are working for. For an organization like WebMD, their interest is patient education, and they always have articles on a daily basis. They churn out articles on a daily basis. So it's in high demand, patient education. If you're working for an organization like Medscape is a CME company. They're always writing and updating continuing medical education projects. So it's also in demand because your doctors have to be licensed, pharmacists have to be licensed, nurses have to be licensed every year. So these things are always in demand. So there's no particular one. It depends on where you are. I'm talking about pharmaceutical regulatory writing. Drugs are always being developed. So this is a continuous process that we don't even see the end because more diseases are coming up. So the pharma industry is quite active. Then number 4 is, how do you get clients? This is one question that always gets on my DM. I'll tell us a story. Someone recently sent a DM, and in the DM he complained bitterly that he has not been getting good clients, medical writing clients, that I should advise. Anyway, before I gave the advice, I decided to visit his LinkedIn profile. So I believe almost everybody here is on LinkedIn. If you are not, then that's the first step in answering this question. Because you just have to be visible as a medical writer. You just have to be visible. They can't come to your house to knock to find you. Medical writing is an online venture. So you have to be visible online. And LinkedIn is the major online media. You can still find them on Twitter and maybe on Facebook, but LinkedIn is the major one. So first of all, is that you have to be visible on LinkedIn. It's not just to have a profile and run away from the profile. No, you have to have a very good profile. So in all your credentials, then you also have to be present. In that you have to be posting, you have to be, because the recruiters are always around. So they have to see you. They have to say, someone is raising hand. Is that raising hand or is that a mistake, Henrietta?
It's a mistake, sorry.
All right, okay. So you just have to be seen. That's just the truth. Then that's one. So when I visited the person's profile, first of all, I didn't see any picture on the profile. Nobody will hire a ghost, a faceless person. So I didn't see any picture. The banner, for those of us that understand LinkedIn, there's something we call banner behind the picture. The banner was just there blank, and there was practically nothing on the profile. So I understood where the problem was coming from. So I came back and answered him. I said he should first of all go and update his profile, because you can't be talking about clients when you are not visible. Nobody knows your face. Nobody can see you. So that's one of it. Then you have to network with other medical writers. There are so many of them on LinkedIn, find out what they're doing, find out where they work, and find out what they do. And that will help you. Sometimes some jobs in medical writing, they come through direct referral. The people you've already known, and having known you, they can say, okay, I know this person and I know she or he can deliver. And they will refer you. Then you have to learn. Medical writing demands a whole lot of learning. Like I've mentioned all the niches in medical writing. Before anybody will employ you there, you have to prove that you can. So you have to pick up, whether by doing courses or by self-learning or watching videos. You have to pick up the skill and demonstrate. In medical writing, we show, we don't tell. After having your profile ready, you still demonstrate through your activities that you can deliver. And one of the ways to demonstrate is to have a portfolio. A portfolio is a collection of samples. So it's not the CV, it's not your CV. It's a collection of the works you've done, the articles you've written, because you want someone to hire you to write a patient education article. They should be able to see that you've written something like that. And how do you get a portfolio? You get a portfolio by working for health websites, health organizations. But if for any reason you are still a newbie, you've not been able to get any job like that, you can create your own. You can open an account on Medium and start writing. You can decide to write on malaria today. Tomorrow you can decide to write on osteoarthritis. And you create content on your own that you can submit as sample. Although that one, having an account of Medium, doesn't have much authority because it's just you writing on your own. But it's still better than nothing. You can create a LinkedIn newsletter and start writing all these articles on LinkedIn, and you can also submit it that as sample, and you can volunteer. If you see any organization asking for volunteer writers, if you're a newbie, don't think of money first. Think of portfolio. Don't think of money first. Always remember this. Think of portfolio, because nobody will hire you if you don't have it. You may be lucky anyway. Let me not say nobody will, but most people will not hire you if you don't have a portfolio. So volunteer, write on LinkedIn, write on Medium, use any opportunity to write and document those articles. Copy the URL and create a portfolio. There are so many free portfolios, something like clippings.me. You can host your portfolio there. You add your samples to that portfolio and build it up over time, so that whenever anybody asks for that, you can easily submit that. You can also do an internship. There are some internship programs like Clarity. I did a 30-week internship with them. And within that 30 weeks, I was able to work on 63 articles within that 30 weeks. I wrote 13, then edited. I did both a writing internship and an editing internship, and edited up to 15. I wasn't paid for those 30 weeks that I worked for them. So it was more or less like a volunteer work, but my intent was to create a portfolio. And that was why I said, if you're starting up or get money, think about portfolio, because that's the only way people can assess you, what you can do. And that's how the clients will come. Then number 5, say, I want to know what it takes to become a medical writer. One good thing about medical writing that I love so much is that there's no first degree in medical writing. So nobody can claim superiority. Doctors cannot claim, pharmacists cannot, nurses cannot, even health scientists cannot, because there are some non-scientists who are in medical writing. If you have a health science background, you have an advantage that you mustn't have. The most important thing is that you have the ability to write, or you are willing to learn how to write. Then you have to be tech savvy. In medical writing, we deal with a whole lot of softwares, a whole lot. So if you can't navigate all those softwares easily, then you may have a problem. So you have to be tech savvy. You have to be able to do research, because you are not reinventing the wheel. If you are to write on malaria, it must have been written before what you want to write. It's not as if you are generating your own, but then your ability to collect all the sources and sieve them and bring out something that is original is what makes the difference. And not just original, something that you'll be able to speak to the audience you are writing to. You should be able to understand if you are writing a patient education article that this audience, some of them may not be educated. Even when they're educated, they're not in the science field. So you have to write in a way they will understand. Then if you are writing to physicians or to pharmacists or to nurses, you should be able to speak their language. So your ability to do this is just what you need to become a medical writer. So, and in addition, there are other traits you may need to have, like tenacity. Like there are some articles that will take a lot from you to be able to write. So are you that kind of person that can sit down for long to write? Like recently, I was a colleague of mine. She has been disturbing a senior colleague of mine for that matter. She has been disturbing me to come and teach her medical writing. And I was discussing with somebody who also knows that. The person was like, please, that I should leave her, that she's too restless to be a medical writer. You can't sit for on your laptop to create, you may not be able to fit in. But if you can, if you have tenacity, you can sit down to create articles, then you can function in this way. And you also need to have a pleasing personality. What do I mean by pleasing personality? Most times in medical writing, your work, you write and your work is reviewed by another person. And then you have to be giving feedback, then you have to respond again. If you don't have a pleasing medical writing is all about. So the next question, someone asks, how do you know when your paper or article is good and no further modification is needed? This one is a tough question. I'm coming, sorry, I want to get the screen on again. Okay. So how do you know when your paper or article is good and no further modification is needed? One way to know is to compare what you've written with what you have in order, like assuming I just finished writing an article recently on vaginal infection. And what does CDC? I looked at Cleveland Clinic. So by the time you compare your write-up with other write-ups, you know whether you did well. You should know when you have done well. That's one way. Another way is to get another person that is more also help you to know. Another thing to also know, most times when you write in medical writing, you are usually giving what we call content brief. The editors usually will tell you that this is what they want for this article for most health websites. So how do you know whether you wrote something that's proper? Is if you look at the guidelines you are given and you met the guidelines 100%. That's the way to know. And this is not within the scope of this discussion, but let me just point that out. For academic publications in journals, all the journals, they have what they call author guidelines. So for you to know whether you actually did what you were supposed to do, you look at the author guidelines and see whether you met the standard. So these are a few ways that you can use to know whether your article is good. And finally, your article will have to go to the editor or reviewer. So by the time they correct and review, you know whether you did something good. So number 8, say what factors should I consider when choosing a niche? This is like the third time this question is coming. Where I identify the best niche for myself. Well, for the sake of those who joined us late, you are identifying what are your own traits and your level of expertise. What do you think you can do better? If you think you can explain things in plain language that that's your area of strength, then go for medical education. If you know you can do in-depth research, then you should go for CME. If you're good at clinical trials and documentation of trials and protocols, you can go for regulatory writing. If you know you can market, there are some people that are very good at writing marketing pieces. Then you can go into medical marketing and medical journalism because you have the ability to captivate people to listen to you. Then you should go into all those areas. Then you should also think of what do you want in terms of finance. Sometimes the compensation for a single piece of CME may be what you will get for about 5 pieces of patient education article. But then it may not be that easy to get CME to write. So it depends on what you want, actually. If you want, there are some people that would prefer to write one CME every 3 months than to write multiple medical writing articles. So you choose your flow. That's it. Then, how do you land high-paying clients as a medical writer? How do you conduct research effectively? This one is also a compound question. How you land high-paying clients, just like every other business. Let me take contractors for an example. Well, for those of you who live in my country, we have so many contractors. We have local, we have foreign, we have those who have made their name, like something like Julius Berger. They've been in this country for many years. Then you may have a construction company that started just 2 years ago. So you can't expect Julius Berger and that construction to be competing in terms of pay. And that's how medical writing is also. Sometimes the number of years you've put in, the number of projects you've done, your level of expertise, to the ratings you have from your previous clients, these are the things that determine whether you get high paying clients or not. So it may not be easy as a newbie to get that. And for those of us that joined us late also, let me emphasize this again. If you are starting off in medical writing, money shouldn't be your priority. Your priority is to build a portfolio, build a name for yourself. Let me use that term. To build a name, because you are a brand, even though you are an individual. But medical writing is a business. So that's why if you go to the US, most of them that have medical writers, they have websites, branded websites in their names. In fact, they are registered on its own. So how much you'll be paid at the end of the day depends on how much brand name you've made through your activities. But then if you are starting off, think portfolio first. Try as much as possible to get samples, good samples into your portfolio that you can present. That's where the journey starts, the journey of getting high paying clients. And over time, it will pay off. Then how do you conduct research effectively? This is also a very compound question. It's something you have to learn. It's not something I can describe within a few minutes. But you have to learn how to search PubMed. You have to learn the databases where you can find scientific information. There are some people that if you ask them to write articles, they will just go to health websites like Cleveland Clinic. Some even go to blogs to get their information from. That means they've not understood that there are levels. When you talk of scientific evidence, you have levels of scientific evidence, and blog posts are the lowest level. So you shouldn't use that to write your own article. You should be thinking of peer-reviewed articles, and you should know how to get them through Google. You have to know how to get them through PubMed, through Google Scholar, and all those databases. So, but then it's something you have to learn by practicing, just like writing. You don't learn writing by watching anybody. Even if I speak for the next 5 hours and talk about writing, you can't learn it just by listening to me. You have to sit down and write. That's how to learn how to write. Then entering into medical writing as stable profession. Well, I didn't really get this question, but I will attempt to answer it. There are two parts to medical writing. It's either you're a freelancer. Freelancer means that you work for different organizations. You are working for different organizations and you are working part-time for all of them. So what it means is that you are not on any salary with any one of them. Is you are paid depending on the amount of work you've put in. And it's not also every time that you get the work. So it's something that is very, very variable that sometimes you may not. Sometimes you may get and even get more than you require. So that's one part. The other part is when you are an employee. For some countries where you have medical writing, medical communications agencies, they can employ writers to work for them to do just like any other worker. You work 9 to 5. You work 9 to 5. And that one is more stable. And that you are like a regular worker, you are paid a salary. So I don't know whether if that is what this person meant by stable profession. So you can work as an employee, that's more stable. You can work as a freelancer. That one is not stable, but then it gives you that freedom to work for some people. So for some people, they may prefer to be freelancers than workers. And in some countries, like those of us in Nigeria, you have that few. I don't even think you have any, because when I was trying to get the ACE medical communications and registered, I didn't see any templates anyway. I'm still searching anyway to see whether I will see any medical communications. I doubt whether there is any. So if you're in Nigeria working as a medical writer, you will most likely be a freelancer because there are just few organizations that can employ you like that. Maybe over time, the ACE may start employing people in that capacity. But for now, it's difficult to find in Nigeria. But then in some countries, I know we have a number of Indians with us here, Pakistani. You have medical communications in those countries, medical communications agencies. So you can work either as an employee or as a freelancer. So whichever one, choose the one that suits your financial needs and your life needs in total. The next question says, how do I go about the medical writing? I think these are some of the questions I've answered. The first thing is interest. Then after interest, you have to get to work. Get to work means you have to learn. When I picked up interest in medical writing, that was 2 years ago, 2023. I started, first of all, I started networking with the people I found on LinkedIn. I started asking questions. I went to the DM of some of them, especially one of them that I found in Nigeria, to find out. I got some information. I got some materials. I went on YouTube. I've watched more than 50 videos on medical writing on YouTube. I've read books on medical writing. I've gone to web pages. I've read a lot. I've taken online courses on medical writing. I've done internship. So these are the things you do to enter, because you need to understand what you are doing. You need to build authority in the field. So that's how you go about it. So by the time you do all these things, along the line, you may not finish doing all of them before you get your first client. Like I was still trying to get myself to understand to read before. In fact, my very first client came for me. I didn't even, they just saw my activities on LinkedIn and reached out to me that I should be a reviewer for them. So I started as a reviewer first of all, before I even became a writer. So, but as I was researching and I was doing all those things, I was building authority on LinkedIn. So I wasn't sorry, my screen has gone up again. So I wasn't just researching. I wasn't just reading, because I've had some people that will tell you, that they're still reading. It's when they finish that's when they will become serious on LinkedIn. No, as I was researching and doing all this, I was writing on LinkedIn. I was building authority, and so I didn't even, before I even started the internship, I was already working. as a before I even got the internship. So the learning can go pari passu with working, but the most important thing is that you have to be serious. I've seen people that will say that they're interested in medical writing, but they're just dormant, whether on LinkedIn or anywhere. They're just, it doesn't work that way. You have to understand the field. You can't just move from, for those of us that are clinicians, you can't just move straight from the hospital into medical writing. You have to learn what you are going into. So that's how to go about it. Yes, say I'm interested in health law. I don't know whether she's here. I when I looked at the form, I noticed that she's a lawyer. Say, how can I become a better health law writer? I used to learn. It's actually a good, because when I saw the question, I was like, this is an area that most people don't even bother to go into. So, and it's an important area. We still have, I'm taking my country as an example, we still have patients who don't know their rights. We have patients who don't know that they should know the drugs that any doctor gives them, that they, it's their right to know whatever that is being done for them. We have patients who don't know that for some procedures there must be signed consent, not just verbal consent, that there must be documentation before some procedures are done. So health law, for all, we call it medical jurisprudence, is a very important aspect of medical writing. So if that person is here, what you do is to learn the laws of the country you are writing for. Learn what the WHO says about some of these things, what CDC is saying, and be able to translate it into simple language for people to understand. Question 13 say, how do I attract medical writing job? I've already answered this question. You attract medical writing job by doing all these things I've said. Learn, build a portfolio, run an internship, be visible. If you learn, if you do an internship and you have a portfolio and you've read all the books and taken all the courses, and yet you are not visible, you won't be seen. That's just the truth. The last coaching session we had the one we had in November, the November cohort, one of the participants stood out right from the first day of the coaching. Everything, all the instructions that were given during the 14 days of that coaching, she did all of them, and even did beyond. And even after we finished that coaching session, she continued showing up on LinkedIn. So I wasn't surprised when I think it was just within 2 or 3 weeks, she sent me a message that she has been given an offer by one of the health websites. And not only that, immediately they gave her the offer, she started writing. I've reviewed, they sent, without even knowing my link with her, sort of. They sent her an article to me to review. And right now I have another article that they sent that she has written again. So you see that if you put in the work, it works. But if you hide, you won't be seen. That's just the truth. So that's how to attract. The recruiters are always on LinkedIn, and they're not the ones. They're not the ones that usually comment. The recruiters don't usually comment. So don't be carried away by comments and likes. What they do is that they observe. And when they observe you to an extent, they will come to your DM. I remember my first client, Semikelt. I just woke up one night around midnight to do some things. Then I noticed the message on my DM, and when I opened, I saw a very long message where they said a whole lot of things about my work and my profile and my activities on LinkedIn. And I was like, these people are scammers. I didn't even believe it. It was the next day that I decided to do more research, and I found out that they actually have a website and they have human beings, people. Okay, I had to search out all the articles on the website before I believed. And that was it. I wasn't interviewed. There was nothing like interview. And that was how I started with them. So don't be carried away by some people comment and like out of sentiment. But the people who actually want to work with you, they're not sentimental about it. They're looking at facts. And when they think they've gotten enough information, they will come to you. So that's it. The question 14 said, I would like to know more about pursuing a career in medical writing. think I've also answered this. Uh, you can pursue a career in medical writing side by side, whatever you are doing, because it's remote. Most of the things I do them at night. So if you think your full-time career can give you enough time to work as a medical writing, good and fine. If you think that you may need to tone down and become a part-time to be able to function in medical writing, it's also good and fine. So if you think you have to quit your job completely to be a full-time medical writer, it's also good. So all these things depends on your family structure, your backup, because if you have to quit your job completely, you should have a backup and what you want to do. So we'll have medical writers who are full-time medical writers. We'll have some doctors, pharmacists who are full-time. They don't work in the hospitals. Again, we have some who are part-time medical. Will I say I'm part-time? No, I'm not a part-time clinician because I'm still a gynecologist. I'm still a consultant gynecologist, but I don't work full-time again because medical writing is taking a whole lot of my time and I love it. So, and that's my choice. There are also some that will want to run their full-time work and do medical writing at the background. It's also good. So it depends on what you want. So that's how to pursue a career. Do all these things I've said. First of all, interest, then learn, volunteer if you can build a portfolio, be available online, especially on LinkedIn. You can also diversify, like I started with LinkedIn because I saw it as a safe place. But now I've built up confidence to even go into Facebook. But I'm not like a regular Facebook user. If you go to my Facebook page, what you'll be seeing there is writing, and all those stuff. So I'm not that regular Facebook user that you see posting pictures of weddings and things like that. No. So I'm there for a purpose. It's either medical writing or I'm talking about God. These are the only two things. So you can decide what to do. On Twitter, the same thing. On Instagram, I started from LinkedIn anyway because the that's where most of the clients are. Then the last question is, do I get into writing medical articles and start building a portfolio as someone who hasn't written before? That's what I've written. I've said you can start on your own, go to Medium and create a Medium account and start trying out your hand on different health topics. Create a LinkedIn newsletter. One good thing about the LinkedIn newsletter is that for normal LinkedIn posts, you have character limit of 3,000. But the newsletter is unlimited. So you can write a 10,000 word article on newsletter. And another good thing about newsletter is that once you publish it, it will go into the emails of all your connections. Unlike your post, when you put up a post, LinkedIn will decide whether they will show it to people or not. But the newsletter Grace has a way of, not as a way, it's built in such a way that it doesn't depend on the algorithm. It just goes to your connection. So you can start writing your newsletter. You can create a newsletter and start writing articles. You can look for internship. Don't look at them. I've noticed that most people, even when they get volunteer jobs, like I have some volunteer writers working with me, they treat it as volunteer jobs. I don't know how to put it. The attention they give it has to do with they think, okay, because they are not paid, then they should do it anyhow. If you behave like that, you won't build a portfolio. I worked in Clarity for 30 weeks, and at Clarity, what we do is that they give you weekly deadlines. I never missed a deadline. I wasn't paid, but I never missed a deadline because my interest wasn't the money. My interest was on building the portfolio. So if you get a volunteer job, treat it as if you are paid millions. That's the way to go about it. That's my advice. Okay, so you build a portfolio, you become active on LinkedIn, you network with other medical writers, you take courses. You don't just sit and be assuming that you know. There is something about reducing the learning curve. If somebody who has gone through a path takes time to teach you on that path, your learning curve will.
Required, or can I
Okay, you
excel
are
even with
pursuing.
basic degree? Hello?
You are pursuing a master's degree.
Yes, like you are gynec
I can
specialist.
hear
So
you.
completed my basic MBBS. So I am
Mhm.
at
No,
facing
I'm a
like
gynecologist.
difficulty. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
So
I am
what's the
not
question?
gynecologist. I've just completed my basic medical degree. So
Okay. You are very much qualified.
okay,
You
so
are very
like
much
I am
qualified.
okay, so should I pursue master's degree as well to excel in the
Okay.
to like further go into the medical field, or my basic degree will be enough?
And then your
Hello?
basic medical degree is. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am,
Can
I
you hear
can
me?
hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I say your basic medical degree is more than enough. Mm. Your basic medical degree is enough. Mm.
Okay.
What you just need is to polish, to learn, because this is a career zone. What you just need is to learn the skills you need in medical writing. But you already have, there's no degree in medical, there's no first degree, there's no master degree in medical writing as at this moment, unless maybe they develop it in future. So you already have that knowledge. I believe during your basic medical training, you did some level of research. You wrote assignments, you wrote exams. You must have been asked some questions on some diseases, and you wrote, you explained, you interacted with patients. So that's what you just need is to convert these things into writing. Then, but you have to learn the skills of writing, because writing on its own is something you have to learn. Just like people learn trade, people learn how to be plumbers, people learn how to be electricians. You can learn. You have to learn the skill of writing to be able to communicate. And I forgot to also say that most medical writing materials are in English, either UK or US English. So you also have to learn how to communicate that with good grammar so that your message will not be lost. So that's basically what you need. So, but then if you have an advanced degree, like master's or PhD, it helps you a lot. Like I have a master's, and there's no way you do a master's and you won't. I wrote a lot during my master's, so that's why that is not more. It's not a problem to me. So if you have an advanced degree, it makes it better for you, but it's not a prerequisite. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay. All right. So did you get the answer?
Uh,
Did you
yes,
get my
ma'am.
answer?
Yes, I have another question as
Okay.
well.
So
So recently, I've completed
all
another
right.
internship.
Now listen.
Okay.
Mm.
Hello.
Internship or what?
Okay. So, ma'am,
Yes, I'm
I
with you.
recently completed an internship at a training institute and other internship apart from my medical training. About I've designed some assignments related to gynecology laparoscopy training and also question paper. I want to know whether to like get into the medical writing field, should I do the internship or buy courses or just learn freely from Google and then post the articles on LinkedIn in hopes that I could get into the work?
Well, it depends on your type of person. If you are, you can learn on your own, a self-paced learner. Um, you have a typical Google, you have YouTube videos of medical writing. If you can easily learn through those means, then no problem. But if you are the type of person that you need guidance, there are people like that. If you don't guide them, they won't be able to pick up that skill. So if you are that type, then you may need to take courses. Like I mentioned, that courses will help you to shorten the learning curve because you are being guided by somebody that's been through it. So the person will be able to guide you, so to shorten the learning curve for you. Then taking an internship also, it's not medical internship. Like I did medical internship when during my own time. But then when I entered medical field, I just knew that I needed something like that also. That I needed an internship, and that was why when I got the offer, I saw the offer on LinkedIn, and I sent them a request, and they accepted. I did that because I knew that I needed, being someone that's been in the scientific environment, and now you want to communicate to the public, you need to learn that skill. So that was why I enrolled for the internship. But I'm not saying that it's compulsory. It's not. There are so many medical writers that didn't do any internship. There are also so many that didn't take any courses. So it depends on who you want to be. But I believe if you want to be the best in your field, you should take any opportunity to refine your skills. So these things are not compulsory. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. Uh,
Okay.
ma'am, also have a last question. Could you tell
Mm.
me the future of this field? Like, because many people are saying that AI will take the jobs, or like this field won't be relevant in next to 5, 10 years. Could you say about this?
I'm not sure that I got you so well, but I think I have an idea of what you want to, the question. Maybe you are talking about because of AI,
Yes.
because of artificial intelligence. Okay, the issue now is that most health websites, as we speak, they frown at AI generated content. And being someone that I review and I edit, most times those contents they won't pass through that screening process of getting published because AI doesn't have that human touch, and it has a way of writing something the same way every time. So I don't see AI taking over medical writing. If not, maybe if you want to check up an article on miscarriage, if you check Cleveland Clinic, you see the same format. You check Mayo Clinic, the same format. You check NHS, the same format. You check WebMD, the same format. Because AI doesn't know how to alter things. It generates it the same way every time. And most websites will not accept that. So as we speak, from what I know, most AI generated content, they don't usually pass through that screening. But then what will happen in future is that medical writers who know how to use AI may be better placed than those who cannot. Why did I say that? If you're a smart medical writer, you know how to use AI as a tool to enhance your work. Like now, I don't generate content through AI, but that doesn't mean that I don't use AI. I use it to refine my work. I don't generate it. I will write whatever article I want to write. I normally write it on my own from beginning to the end. But then when I finish with that initial draft, I will now use AI to refine it's like the grammar, the punctuation, and the arrangement, the syntax. So the work will come out finer than someone that doesn't know how to use AI. At the same time, the work will also pass through the screening because it won't look like AI generated. You will still see my language there. You still see the way I write there. But then it will be very refined. So AI is not a tool, it's not going away, but it's a tool that smart medical writers will know how to use it smartly to get their work out. So I don't see it replacing medical writers. I personally, as a reviewer, most times once I see an article, even without checking it through all those, we also have a lot of AI detectors. Even without checking them, once I that's an AI generated article, I usually know most times because the language sounds the same. Sometimes the references are wrong. Sometimes it's poorly arranged. So, and most times those articles, when I do these articles, I normally reject them. So they won't even be published at the end of it. So I don't see it replacing medical writing in any way. But then every medical writer should know how to use AI tools. That's it.
Okay, so
So let's
ma'am, one last thing. I just wants to share my experience from my current internship. So I actually used Chat GPT to form the questions, but I later checked with the books for the gynecology laparoscopy assignment so that I could make it better. So in my use, the Chat GPT has just able to perform a give a basic reference. Then I have to add things of my own from reading other books and articles.
like I said, you can use ChatGPT to help you to answer some questions. You can use it to help you generate references, but make sure you check whatever it has generated. There's something we call hallucination, AI hallucination. Sometimes the AI can generate references that don't exist anyway. So you have to take ownership. That's what you know. You have to, if you use AI to generate anything, you have to take ownership of it by cross-checking every sentence and every word. You know, sometimes some of them will be outright. So, like I said, it's just like what I said, you use it to support your writing. And you use it to speed up the process, but never use it to generate your content. Never use it to generate your content. I hope I've answered that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, you're welcome. So, any other person, we've actually gone beyond the time. Any other questions? Okay. So, for those of us who want to join us in the group, I noticed that some people already joined. You are welcome. We'll inform you, we'll give you further information in the group. We normally share information from time to time. And if you also want to join us for coaching sections, you also, sorry, I'm trying to project something. That's why I'm looking at the screen. Okay. So if you also want to join us for any of our coaching sessions, you are also welcome to. Sorry, I'm trying to project the coaching before we call it a day. Okay. So these are the coaching options we have. Is either have the 14-day writing challenge. This one, we already have some people waiting for that. We are starting on the 19th. It's just for 14 days. And we post on LinkedIn during that 14 days. The 14 days, we have webinars lined up. Then the participants also have an opportunity to write an article. It's compulsory that you write an article during those 14 days. So these are some of the activities we do. So you can join us. But if you don't want that kind of crowd or noise, you can decide to opt for one-on-one coaching. This one is just between me and you, where we'll still take I'll still take you through all the webinars, all the teachings for about 2 hours, and you'll have an opportunity for a follow-up discussion and mentorship for a month. Small group coaching is, if you have a small group, maybe of 5, and you don't want to join the general class of the medical 14-day medical writing, and you just want to be trained for 2 hours within that small group. So this is also an option. So this is the January challenge that is starting, like I said, is starting on January 19th. So on the mail that I sent to you, the link to the WhatsApp group is there. You can join us, and there you'll get further information. So I thank you all for showing up. I believe the session has helped. Can I get thumbs up if it helped in any way? Okay. I can see that. It was nice meeting you, Dr. Zoka. That's nice meeting you also. So we'll call it a day. So as it pleases God, we may see some other time, maybe during a course or a WhatsApp group, or maybe it's a conference. Who knows? Maybe we'll meet at a medical writing conference. Anyway, we meet, or before we meet, just make sure you implement what you've learned. That's the most important thing. Implementation is key. And I wish you all the best. All right. See you.